Let's begin by telling you that the Gombe State Emergency Management Agency has said that over 2,500 houses and shops were either completely or partially destroyed by flood, which ravaged 33 communities in the state. The Deputy Director, Relief and Rehabilitation of the agency, Ibrahim Nalado, disclosed this on Saturday. Nalado said that the communities affected were in Dukku, Funakaye and Billiri Local Government Areas of the state. According to him, the areas were flooded due to the heavy downpour that occurred between August 12 and 22. Nalado said that the flooding and windstorm affected mostly houses and a few farmlands in the communities. Now, in an effort to enhance the handling of sexual crimes, the Nigeria Police, in partnership with the Lake Chad Basin Support Framework, have launched a comprehensive training program for officers. The course focuses on sexual and gender-based violence, equipping officers with the skills needed for effective investigations in Borno State. News Central's Umar Krawa has the details.
As Borno State in Nigeria's northeast continues to recover from prolonged insurgency, tackling sexual and gender-based violence remains a crucial part of the recovery process. The training program emphasizes investigative skills and sensitivity towards sexual crimes. The initiative aims to prepare officers to provide specialized support and resources for victims of sexual violence.
This course provides us with the knowledge, skill and attitude how we are going to deal with the SGBV case and also how we are going to approach a survivor.
If they brought a survivor to a station as a rape at a point of rape, we take the survivor to the hospital, meet the doctor. He's the one that will examine her, treat her, and will take her back to the station.
This training has really broadened our knowledge on SGBV cases and relevant laws that are applicable.
The 43rd Commissioner of Police in Borno State, Mohammed Yusufu, provides sexual and gender-based violence specialized investigators with strategic guidance, leadership and other technical expertise.
It is little wonder that from the national database, you have seen statistics of gender-related violence on the high rise in this part of the country. So it is, of course, necessary that we need the required intervention. One, don't just look at gender-based violence in isolation to other crime. It has a spillover effect to one, suicide, drug abuse, broken home, so spread of venereal diseases. So the consequences of gender-based violence, if not properly handled, can dislocate the entire fabric of our ethics and norms as people and as society.
There is now going to be 35 gender desks across the divisions, across the whole of Borno State, that then survivors can be interviewed by specialist trained officers.
These specialized desks are expected to offer essential support to survivors and enhance overall responses to sexual and gender-based violence in the region. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
And to shed light on this, we are joined by the Police Public Relations Officer, Borno State Command, ASP Kenneth Nahum. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Yeah, thank you so much and good evening.
First, how important is this particular training and how would the authority ensure that the knowledge gained from this training by the police officers would translate into actionable change?
Thank you very much. Firstly, the Nigerian Police Force, in changing its dynamics of operating, the gender-based violence training that was organized by the command in collaboration with the UK Integrated Stability Fund and the Lake Chad Basin Support Framework is to enhance the capacity of investigators who are investigating cases related to sexual and gender-based violence. So this capacity building training will enhance their capacity, which we are expecting more professionalism when it comes to them addressing issues of gender-based violence.
And so what follow-up measures are in place now to ensure that the training leads to sustained improvements in how SGB cases are actually being managed?
Currently, we are having supervision from concerned partners who are interested in cases related to sexual and gender-based violence. So, and we, through our crime database statistics, we noticed the uprise of issues of gender-based violence based on the peculiarity of the insurgency that happened for over a decade. So itself will be tracked, and we'll try and see through the database if there is increase or reduce in crimes related to SGB.
You just talked about insurgency now, and I'd like to find out what are some of even the biggest challenges faced by officers when dealing with SGBV cases in Maiduguri and by extension Borno State.
When it comes to SGBV, we know it's a very sensitive case. So there are areas of stigmatization when to have survivors who don't feel bold enough to come, having issues of delay when it comes to reporting these cases. So sometimes the survivors tend to delay before reporting, and it doesn't help us in investigating our cases because some exhibits and other examination that we would like to do may not tend to do it as promptly as it's supposed to do.
Okay, so, but then what about the insurgency that is said to be prevalent in that particular area of the state? Is that a major challenge for the police officers? And are there, ways by which those challenges can be surmounted?
Yes, it's a continuous partnership that we are having, and more sensitization, advocacy, and training to the vulnerable persons. We know what state has faced by violent extremists, like I mentioned earlier, for over a decade. So this collaborative effort of trying to see that we key in with key stakeholders to mitigate the level of incidences that are being reported by sensitizing the vulnerable persons to know that they are free and there's an ample chair for them to come and report incidences of sexual gender-based violence.
All right, ASP Kenneth Naum, thank you so much for sharing details of this training with us. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Steve.
All right, let's move on now. About 150 human rights volunteers in Nigeria have been equipped with relevant skills to lead the campaign against human rights violations in rural communities across the country. This initiative by Amnesty International empowered youths from 25 states in Nigeria and will develop a framework for the efficient deployment of personnel for campaigns against rights violations. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, completes the report.
It's a gathering of about 150 volunteers from Amnesty International across 25 states of the Federation. Each of them is being empowered with the necessary tools and strategies that will aid their advocacy for human rights within their communities.
Today we're engaging in Nigeria with volunteers and supporters that work with us to ensure that the work they do across different parts of Nigeria reaches the voiceless, in particular people in different communities, looking at different types of rights that are being violated, whether by individuals or state actors or non-state actors. Issues around freedom of expression, assembly, pushing for the rights of people.
While the purpose of the gathering is to increase the number of human rights defenders across states and local communities, it also offers them an opportunity to share ideas.
Our expectation from them is to improve their capacity in the work that they do. They're very vital. They're part of the chain of the work that we do. They do a lot of the field work with people also who work with them in the field. And so our expectation is they pick up skills, knowledge, and then also network. What we've done is to bring all of them from across the country to see how they can collaborate in doing the work together and sharing knowledge, cross-learning across the country that would also help pushing for protection of human rights in Nigeria.
In places where we cannot reach, they help us in doing that. And my expectation from this event is that we create a more vibrant community. Apart from that, we also want to launch more like the national platform, where everyone who is interested in joining the platform are able to keep abreast. Also ensure that they're also empowered in the sense that they're able to understand what is needed to be done in terms of the priorities of Amnesty International Nigeria.
Amnesty International says that it is hoping that the volunteers will help speak out against rights violations in their communities. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
To security issues now, the Zamfara state government has been tasked to set up a peace commission that will help end the violence and pervading insecurity being witnessed in the state. This was as peace-building experts converged on Abuja to review the current insecurity situation in the state and profile workable solutions adopted by neighboring states in the northwest and north-central region capable of restoring peace to the state. Again, our correspondent, Idong Joseph, tells us more.
The establishment of a peace commission in Adamawa, Kaduna and Plateau states to help quell ethnic and religious tensions, including farmer-herder conflict, has been described as a success story in the states. While the initiative has been considered by many as a magic wand that helped resolve decade-long divisions, some security experts have called on the Zamfara state government to emulate the gesture. Some of them converged on the nation's capital, Abuja, to share ideas on how to replicate a similar commission in Zamfara State.
So this meeting is a meeting where different stakeholders who are implementing initiatives that Zamfara is interested in have come to share their experiences. We have also brought experts in ADR, veteran director generals of peace agencies in different states so that they can give guidance.
With Zamfara State suffering from banditry, kidnapping for ransom and other vices, experts have tasked the state to consider the peculiarity of conflict in the state and come up with a proposed peace commission.
The agency has to be contextually grounded in the realities of Zamfara State. They need a thorough analysis of their conflict situation, of the violence, of the, so that they can, properly ground it in their reality.
The establishment of such institutions must draw heavily from government policy, looking at the challenges that such governments are facing in their states. And by the way, most of these entities will have to develop strategic plans that at least can go for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, or even 8 years. It makes it easier because the challenges of peace and security do not just evaporate, at the expiration of a government term.
They said that the move to establish a peace commission is also followed by a proposal to create a multi-door court that will help reduce the number of pending insecurity-related cases.
We were glad that we have a lot of resource persons. They have expressed their expertise in how the oppressive government can go about in establishing the agencies. So we will go back home and come up with our draft and we will share with them on the need to establish the two agencies.
Given the lessons that have been learned from the existence of a peace commission in Adamawa, Kaduna and Plateau states, experts say that there must be a political will to ensure the employment of capable personnel in the commission when created. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
To education matters now, a visually impaired widow and over 600 students of the ESM University, Benin Republic, and their parents have appealed to President Bola Tinubu to reverse the ban on the institution's certificate in Nigeria. The distraught students, who are on the scholarship of a faith-based organization, Omega Power Ministries, and their parents, cried to the General Overseer and their benefactor, Apostle Chibuzo Chinyere, in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and lamented that the ban has brought agonies to them. The students and parents, while fighting back tears, said they were shocked when they received news about the federal government's decision on the ESM University in Benin Republic. The undergraduates said withdrawing them from school when they were already making progress and after their benefactor had invested much in their education was tantamount to jeopardizing their future. We'll now go on the break on the news. When we return, we will tell you how Ogun State government revoked the licenses of 20 private orphanage homes. To stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's now tell you that participants at the town hall organized by News Central in partnership with TAP Initiative have raised concerns about the Nigerian government's response to citizens' agitations for better governance. The event, which was held in Abuja, the latest in the town hall series by News Central Television, discussed the nationwide End Bad Governance protests that took place in many parts of the country in August. The participants condemned the government's disregard for the citizens' demands, such as accountability, improved governance, and economic reforms.
A lot of time we talk about numbers and data. Maybe we need to simplify it. Today, it depends on who you're speaking with. Some people will say we have 20 million children that are out of school. Some will say 15 and some will say 12. But just even reflect and pause. We're talking about 12 million people. Do you know what that means? Now you say there were protests and some of them became violent. If you don't invest in the future of your country, what you do is it will burn. It is as simple as that. And you see, you know my biggest worry and fear? It will burn us. If you see me, you think I'm a regular Hausa Fulani man, probably a politician, but I am not. But if these Zanga people, you run into them and they see you with this my white, they would attack me. Exactly. So my biggest fear is, you see, the protesters came forward. I think they were patriotic to even give a date, and they gave a time. I bet you the next protest that would happen would not have a date or a time. Some people are saying October 1st.
Is that sometimes I'm thinking maybe I'm going crazy. You know, am I in the same country? Am I really in a place where I should even be asking for challenges? This is the first time in our history, and where I tried to do some research to see whether people confine people who want to protest into an environment. And I couldn't find anywhere. It's the first time in the country that you now tell us you want to protest. And you ask us to go to the stadium in Abuja. And in Lagos, you also try to confine people. I think for us, it was is this a joke? And on that first day, unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to go, to the field because I was with the media. And I just said, these are the most quiet human beings or the most obedient Nigerians that I'm having. And they are going to the assembly, they are actually going to the National Stadium. I'm just going to talk about Lagos. And they went to the National Stadium, and there, the government people, the pro-government people were mobilized. About 15 vehicles were mobilized. You have asked them to go to the stadium, and you have mobilized against them also in the stadium. Look at the kind of insanity of our leaders, mobilizing Nigerians against Nigerians. Young Nigerians dividing and rule. At the end of the day, that day, some of them were fighting that they asked them, they were going to give them 5,000. They are now giving them 3,000. They were busy fighting.
And from north central to the southwestern part of the country, the Ogun State government has revoked the provisional licenses granted to 20 private orphanage owners operating in the state. This, it said, is due to non-compliance with regulations and laws prioritizing the well-being and safety of vulnerable children in their care. The State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Adijat Adeleye, expressed displeasure over some private orphanage owners' activities, stating that the state would not tolerate shady practices involving illegal adoption, child trafficking, or maltreatment of children in their custody. She said the present administration is committed to safeguarding children's welfare and preventing exploitation, urging them to adhere to laid down guidelines. We tell you now that hope is rising for victims of the Dosunmu market fire as Lagos State government steps in with financial aid. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu visited the scene of the devastating blaze, presenting checks to affected traders and promising more support. While business owners are relieved, they are also appealing for help to rebuild their shattered stalls. News Central's Adeshewo Dushoga reports.
To alleviate the suffering of business owners affected by the devastating fire that ravaged Dosunmu market in April, the Lagos State government has provided financial compensation to the victims. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu visited the site of the fire and presented checks to some of the affected traders.
Ẹ jókòó, wọ́n ti ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ sílẹ̀ ní wọ́ọ́rọ́wọ́ ọmọ máa porúkọ yín ẹ̀dẹ̀ wa máa sign fún owó yín bank draft ni ẹ bá ti mú dé bank ó ti dowó so kò sí risk kankan rárá ẹ̀dẹ̀ wa máa sign fún ọ ní kọ̀ọ̀kan lọ lé ni o Ọlọ́run á dúró tì yín o ẹ ṣé gan.
Speaking on behalf of the state, Lagos Commissioner for Special Duties, Gbenga Yorinde, assured the beneficiaries that the government will continue to engage with them to ensure the funds are used effectively.
It's not going to be all engagements. After this, we are still going to have further engagement with the recipients and then knowing fully well how they have judiciously used whatever they have been given out to them.
The beneficiaries and market leaders expressed their gratitude to the state government for the support. However, they also appealed for assistance in renovating the affected buildings to restore normalcy to the market.
We wrote to the governor and immediately he listened and allowed us continue our market. In fact, we don't know how to thank him on that alone because the market that this thing cover, the closure of market, is more than 9 markets.
Dosunmu market, a vital hub of commercial activities, has been struggling to recover from the fire that destroyed goods and properties worth millions of naira. The compensation is a welcome relief to the business owners who have been working to rebuild their livelihoods. As the beneficiaries look forward to rebuilding their businesses, they hope for continued government support to revive the market to its former glory. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Adeshewo Dushoga.
Now, residents of Jos, the capital of Plateau State, are being urged to prioritize their safety on the roads. Concerns have risen as many residents chose to cross major roads instead of using the pedestrian bridges provided in certain areas. News Central's Chizoba reports from Jos examining this risky behavior among road users in the Jos and Bukuru metropolis.
Despite the dangers, it's been observed that many people prefer to cross major roads instead of using pedestrian crossings where they have the right of way. Whether due to convenience, fear of heights, or the perception that the bridge is a longer route, many choose to disregard the traffic rules. While some pedestrians do adhere to safety guidelines, others express concerns about the height of the pedestrian bridges or the longer distance involved. Regardless of the reasons, safety remains paramount.
Several accidents have been happening here and people have been dying. So I'm advising people to continue using the flyover.
We are always trying to beat time and we neglect the bridge that was provided and we don't put safety into consideration in most of the things we do, which is very wrong.
It's too long for people to go up. That's why they normally cross
Here it will be the shorter place for you to cross.
So most of the mature people, if they come, they feel climbing the bridge is very stressful for them. So they find it very easy crossing the road.
Recognizing the dangers of ignoring traffic rules, the saying, prevention is better than cure, rings true.
I think road safety should be around these places so that they'll force people to use the bridge.
If signages can be placed at strategic points to make us understand the need for us to be able to do that, to go a long way.
The road safety is supposed to be close by so that they will be directing people to climb the bridge. It will be more safe and easy.
Unfortunately, the Federal Road Safety Corps faces limitations in enforcing certain traffic rules unless specific laws are passed, even when lives are at stake.
We have our notice of offense, and our notice of offense have not written anything about those offenses. But the only thing that road safety will be able to do is to advise the pedestrians to use the pedestrian crossing. There is no any other law that says we can book them or apprehend them for that reason. So whether they use it or not, the only thing we can be able to do is to advise. That is the only thing we can do for now, because this law are being passed, and the National Assembly, that's in Abuja, normally check all the offenses and give their own audits concerning it before it's being enforced. So since they have not put those ones into enforcement, we cannot be able to do anything.
Now, from everything that has been said here today, it is expected that major state actors do more in the creation of awareness to ensure the safety of both human and vehicular movement on our roads. From the Dadinkowa area of Jos, Chizoba Anyowe, reporting for News Central.
Now, to empower the next generation of Nigerian innovators and leaders, taking steps toward a more equitable tech landscape and honing the skills for all is necessary. But what are the chances of reshaping Nigeria's technological landscape soon? News Central's Chidima Ona provides more in this report.
Nigeria, a third world country of over 200 million people, constantly faces the threat of low representation and participation of youths in various sectors, particularly politics and tech. Tech entrepreneurs speak on the challenges that hinder their efficiency and say that turning innovative ideas into viable tech ventures could start by lowering several barriers.
I mean, if you look around different sectors, be it in healthcare, in education, in fintech and the likes, you see young people trying to make their own mark, or trying to make a scratch in the space. We need to ensure that policy that we put in place is one that allows and enables young people to continually be more creative.
I think the first thing we should do, if we really want to think about a lot of young Nigerians, is democratizing the opportunity. And what that means is lowering the barrier. You know, the first barrier will be financing. You know, a lot of young people need the financing to be able to learn a technology skill because it can be very expensive sometimes. The second will be then access to the resources, the materials, laptop, internet that people need to learn, you know, and also practice what they've learned.
So first, it's very important for you to know yourself and to be able to understand what makes you unique. And at the end of the day, how that adds up to the value chain of the tech industry. Because you just don't want to do what everybody's doing. You want to stand out, and that way you are able to plug into somewhere that would make you more valuable.
Providing tech support doesn't stop at creating workstations. Tech founders say that facilitating a smooth transition into the workforce and internships can help young talents gain real-world experience.
So it's not enough to train. You don't also have opportunities to because a lot of people are trying to meet that gap. I know several people are running tech academies here and there. People are trying to skip people up. But where do they? Because tech is like flying an aircraft. You can go to a training school to be a pilot, but you only become a valuable pilot based on mileage, based on how many planes you have flown, how many times you've flown in the air. Where are the opportunities to earn those skills? And those are the questions we need to ask. How do we unlock various industries where young people can now be given opportunity to build tech for those industries, to earn tech, to be involved in the process of developing products and services that are technologically powered?
All right, so
to unlock the full potential of Nigeria's young population, fostering tech awareness and providing robust training and opportunities to drive the nation's digital transformation will go a long way. In Lagos for News Central, Chidinma Ona.
In celebrating life, the body of the late Lillian Jeremy, mother of billionaire oil mogul Funakaye Jeremy, has been laid to rest amidst tributes at a residence in Ubeyiyi, Sapele, Delta State. Her funeral ceremonies, which took place over 2 days, brought together people from all walks of life, including former Governor of Delta State, James Ibori, former Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Ibe Kachukwu, and former President of the Nigeria Football Federation, Amaje Pinnick, to pay their last respect to the matriarch. News Central correspondent Osen Azu, who captured the 2-day event, reports.
Is the final rites of late Lillian Jeremy, which begins at her residence in Ubeyi, Sapele, Delta State, with service of songs on Thursday, August 29th, 2024. The following day, the ceremony continues as her body is taken in a motorcade to the First Baptist Church on Paman Road, Sapele, for her funeral service. First, her son Toyo Jeremy reads her biography.
As a business person, all her life, she was mostly interested in beauty items as well as household commodities. The later which became a passion thus, making her to give her best to her communities and beyond.
In a sermon titled Good and Bad Time to Die, the senior pastor of the church, Smart Ejwanogwaga, urges everyone to live a life of humanity, irrespective of their social status.
We should try to know the purpose of God for our life and walk in that purpose. Another good time to die. When you live a life that is led by the Lord Himself, whether you are a Christian or not, God does not want you to walk endlessly in life.
The funeral service over, the body of late Lillian Jeremy returns to her residence for interment, where she is committed to Mother Earth as her children, family members and friends struggled to come to terms with her departure.
She was a unifier. I had this permanent smile on her face. Very calm, motherly, understanding. Lovely. And a sacrificer. Everyone who has met her has a story to tell. She was the one that held the entire family together.
Thereafter, guests are entertained at the Sapele Atlantic Club, where families, friends and associates continue their tributes to the matriarch's legacy of love and generosity.
And I've known Mama all my life. She's my mother, she's my friend, she's my best friend, she's my supporter, she's my everything. Mama is what I would describe as the Proverb 31 woman. Mama is hardworking, Mama is caring. Mama is everything a child could ever ask for.
Because your mom is your confidant, your mom is your everything. So, I knew her, she was everything. She was quite approachable, very warm, very cordial, extremely passionate about the Shakiris and, so that's why I'm dressed like this, to show her the kind of love and respect, So, but she was indeed a very, very fantastic woman, I hate using the word was because in her heart, she's still there.
Late Lillian Jeremy was born September 30th, 1949 to late Tennessee Esedaho in the Reggio community of Warri North Local Government Area of Delta State. She was the third of 9 children and was blessed with children and grandchildren, among whom is Nigeria oil magnate and businessman Funakaye Jeremy. In Sapele for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
The news continues in East Africa, where people waded through floodwaters in the Tokar commune near the Red Sea in northeastern Sudan as heavy rain swept through the locality over the past days. The war-torn country has experienced an intense rainy season since last month, with intermittent torrential flooding mainly in the country's north and east. A relief worker described the situation as catastrophic, adding that there is no first aid at all.
الحمد لله جاوزنا الخطر ولا زال اهلنا واخواننا وحبايبنا لسه جوا في المويه غرقانين وما لاقين منفس انه يطلعوا به ذاته ولا يصلوا اي حته فيها علاج ولا فيها اكل ولا فيها شرب.
خرجنا بالجرارات بنفسنا المهم غايته كيف هي هاي غايته تخرجنا بالسلام والتوكر كلها غرقانه ولا واحد لا شمال لا يمين.
الحقيقه الشغل ما بحجم الكارثه كانت ما بحجم الكارثه. الكارثه كبيره جدا والطريق مقفول والاسر ما زالت تعاني. يعني يمكن لم يحصل اجلاء في الفتره اللي فاتت الا بمجهودات فرديه ونحن تفاجأنا في الحقيقه انه الطريق كان كله شغالين فيه بلبات بسيطه.
In southern Africa, at least 6 supporters of South Africa's official opposition were killed on Saturday when their minibus crashed as they were traveling to a celebratory event in the east of the country. The accident occurred before noon when the group was traveling to the event in Nkandla in KwaZulu-Natal province. The Umkhonto weSizwe party said in a statement that the taxi they were in burned with them trapped inside. 10 other party members were injured and rushed to the local hospitals. Earlier this week, a bus traveling from Zimbabwe lost control and overturned in South Africa's northeastern Limpopo province, killing 10 people and injuring 35. Away from Africa, let's tell you that Malaysia is celebrating its 67th Independence Day in the administrative capital of Putrajaya, where King Sultan Ibrahim and Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim watch parades and military processions involving over 17,000 people. The anniversary, also known as Merdeka Day, is celebrated every August 31.
Malaysia pada masa akan datang seperti negara-negara maju yang lain seperti Singapura, negara jiran kita sendiri. Saya ingin melihat Malaysia membangun sama seperti mereka. Duduk sama rendah, berdiri sama tinggi. Yes, begitu.
Saya rasa mungkin kita boleh lebih berpaduan dan kita toleransi, saling membantu dan hormati budaya kaum-kaum lain. Jadi kita boleh langkah ke lebih maju. Saya rasa perpaduan paling penting.
Let's now tell you that Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels has claimed an attack on the ship Groton in the Gulf of Aden. The Houthi military spokesman Yahya Saree said the Yemeni armed forces carried the operation targeting the ship owing to violation of a ban on accessing the ports of occupied Palestine by the company that owns the ship.
اليمنية بعون الله تعالى عملية عسكرية استهدفت سفينة جروتون في خليج عدن وذلك لانتهاك الشركة المالكة لها قرار حظر الدخول إلى موانئ فلسطين المحتلة. نفذت العملية القوات البحرية وسلاح الجو المسير والقوة الصاروخية وقد أدت العملية إلى إصابة السفينة بشكل.
Talking business now, Nigeria and Indonesia have entered into a memorandum of understanding to enhance palm oil production and market expansion, aiming to reduce reliance on traditional methods and boost smallholder farmers' income. The MOU was signed by the National Palm Produce Association of Nigeria and the Indonesian Palm Oil Association in Abuja. Ambassador Alphonsus Inyang, president of NPAN, stated that the agreement would provide smallholder farmers with access to palm oil knowledge, technology, and economic benefits. He said that the MOU aimed to foster growth in Nigeria's palm oil industry and establish mutually beneficial cooperation. In sports, Enugu Rangers were held at home to a goalless draw by El Kanemi Warriors in the first match of the Nigeria Premier Football League season. Favour Itwa has more in this package.
And in sport, there is optimism in the table tennis camp of Team Nigeria following the draws for the singles event at the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games taking place in France. The 8-man squad for the singles event have been paired with their opponent for the round of 16. The singles matches are set to begin on Sunday, 1st of September. The players are optimistic despite their earlier exit in the mixed and double event. In the men's class 4, Isao Ogunkule will face world number 3 Ali Ostok of Turkey. Debutant Bolawa Akingbemisilu will compete against Brazil's Lucas Arabian in class 5, while Kayode Alabi will take on Romania's Bobby Simon in class 6. In class 9, Abiola Adeshope will challenge France's Lucas Didier, and Olufemi Alabi will face a tough match against China's Hao Lian in class 10. Victor Fariloye, unlike his teammates who start from the round of 16, will begin his campaign in the round of 32 against Croatia's Bona Zoli in class 8. And now to the world of football. The new Nigeria Premier Football League season kicked off today with champions Enugu Rangers held to a goalless draw by visiting El Kanemi Warriors in Enugu. Both teams created chances but failed to convert, with El Kanemi the more dominant club. In the 45th minute, Rangers goalkeeper Japhet Okubo saved the blushes of his team when he denied Jacob Jonathan, whose acrobatic kick was goal-bound in a swift El Kanemi Warriors counter-attacking play. The Borno Army continued the pressure in the second half, with Saliu nearly long-range effort missing target by inches. The home side's best chance came in the 90th minute when Ifeanyi Onyebuchi's headed effort from a corner kick is saved by El Kanemi goalkeeper George. The remaining 9 fixtures in match day 1 will be played next weekend. And out to the Premier League, Declan Rice was controversially sent off for the first time in the Premier League as Arsenal were held to a contentious 1-1 draw against Brighton on Saturday. Mikel Arteta's side were leading through Kai Havertz's first half strike when Rice saw red after the interval at the Emirates Stadium. In a bizarre incident, the Arsenal midfielder earned a second booking for gently kicking the ball away and failing to retreat after fouling Brighton's Joel Veltman. Brighton took advantage of Rice's dismissal to equalize through João Pedro, ending Arsenal's 100% start to their bid to win the title for the first time since 2004. The Gunners had won their opening 2 games of the season against Wolves and Aston Villa, but this was the first blow to their hopes of dethroning champions Manchester City. And to wrap up sports update, Lando Norris took pole position for the Italian Grand Prix on Saturday as the McLaren driver gave himself a great chance to further cut Max Verstappen's Formula One Championship lead. Trailing by 70 points in the driver's standings, Norris clocked 1 minute 19.327 seconds in a 1-2 with teammate Oscar Piastri as Red Bull's Verstappen finished nearly 7/10 of a second behind in 7th. Britain Norris claimed his 4th pole of the season in a car which looks capable of a similar result as at last weekend's Dutch Grand Prix when he romped home to a victory nearly 23 seconds ahead of the 3-time champion Verstappen. A dominating display from Norris and Piastri is a great news for McLaren, who are only 30 points behind Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. And that wraps it up on Sports Update, and Favour Itwa.
That's all at this hour, but before we go, we take a look at some of our top stories. Flood has destroyed 2,517 houses, farmland in Gombe State. Stranded students have begged President Tinubu to receive ban on Benin Republic varsity certificates. We also told you that heavy rains have swept through Sudan's northeastern region. You can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Evo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekan Onabanjo.